We now control over 50% of all bank accounts in Kenya. We're the most capitalized bank in Kenya. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be the most profitable bank in Kenya. And that's been very much due to our focus on the bottom of the pyramid and offering financial services to people who had been previously excluded. Equity, in 2003, we tried rolling out a mobile banking service, very much like the M-PESA model now. I'm sorry nobody from Fundamo is here, because we approached Fundamo in 2003, and we were going to roll out a cash in and cash out service through our customers. Maybe we were a bit before our time, but Safaricom came along in 2007 and started doing it. So we've been very mobile focused and believe fully that the future of financial services in Africa is based on the mobile phone. And I think we will leapfrog a lot of other technologies in the rest of the world, and as M-PESA and hopefully we are doing as well, we're leading a lot of it.
Well, M-PESA is currently 3.5 years old. In March 2007, we launched M-PESA in a market that was heavily dominated by banks. And when I say banks, is that no one ever thought that mobile money transfer then would be a success. So definitely, banks were not very happy to see us because they felt that we were going into their region. And then definitely the fact that also there was no per se technical body or regulatory body that would see us launching mobile money transfer became also quite a difficult chance for us. And therefore, one of our greatest challenges then was to convince banks that we were not coming into their turf. And then remember, we were targeting the majority who were extremely unbanked. So we had a niche market that we were targeting, but the banks felt that we were entering an area that belonged to them. Well, as time has moved by, the banks now are working very well with us. And reason being is that we're not competitors at this point in time, but you're an add-on business to their current business. And that's why you can see with things, launches like M-Kesho and ATMs, is that now going forward, the banks are the best people you're working with right now. And also because our money is not held, or the M-PESA money is not held within our offices, it must be banked, otherwise customers will never trust you. So going forward, it has been quite a good race, a good challenge. And I think the future for mobile money transfer is with banks, as far as I'm concerned. Initially, when we launched M-PESA, we had Commercial Bank of Africa, who was the holding bank in terms of our money. But as our agent network grew, we realized that we needed to have something called super agents. This is whereby now agents can go to different banks and get what you call the e-float. And so we spread our wings to additional banks like the Cooperative Bank, Equity Bank. And then over and above that, we realized that over and above the fact that we have agents, customers needed their money 24/7. So what was the best way for them to access their money? And that's when we launched partnership with Equity. That was early this year on the ATM withdrawal, which is now one of our key contributors in terms of revenue.
The relationship with Safaricom is a complex relationship because we partners, but believe you me, we're competitors as well. We're competing in very similar spaces. So I think there were two giants in the market in the same space, and the two CEOs felt very strongly that it was better to compete, to partner rather than compete. It's been a very difficult relationship at the lower level because I think, dealing with Basheke, we see the areas at a lower level where we're actually competing on a day-to-day basis and are bumping heads on a day-to-day basis. For example, agents. The legislation in Kenya has just changed so that banks can now roll out agents. We will be rolling out a competing agent network. So in the field, we're actually competing head-on. But the two CEOs realized that we needed to partner, and so it was basically through the vision of Michael Joseph and James Mwangi that this came into effect.
My question is, this whole M-Kesho is exclusive with Safaricom and Equity Bank, and there must be other banks in Kenya who are who are pretty much spread out. What was the reaction from those banks? Because right now Equity Bank has an upper hand just through the 600,000 accounts that may be as small as they can be. Because right now in Bangladesh we might have issues with the banks whereby they would totally reject the whole idea of us. We have actually discussed it in a separate forum that we might have severe resistance from the banks in Bangladesh whereby we will be able to create these sort of accounts. So what's your say on that? What's your reaction from other competing banks?
Well, ideally, with Equity is the only bank we've done integration with in terms of the M-Kesho account. However, we also have other banks, and there are 3 more banks, that is Family Bank, KCB, and NIC Bank, that have what you call a pay bill account. And this is because they got the license much long time ago before we integrated with Equity. And what they do is that they have a robot where they're able to send money to existing M-PESA to existing accounts, and definitely vice versa. But as I said earlier on, M-Kesho is a unique account because it comes with the other 3 benefits that the other banks will not give. So yes, it exists with other banks, but as a pay bill account, there's no integration with our system, M-PESA. It's only exclusive to Equity.
As I said, we're both fairly dominant in the retail space. And we had been in negotiations with M-PESA for a long time. We obviously wanted to get the most we could out of the deal. And so we had the integration functionality where you could send money from M-PESA to bank and bank to M-PESA. But we felt that wasn't good enough, that we actually needed to have something more concrete with Safaricom than just integrating. They are competing, there is that competition element. So we really felt we just weren't going to integrate without getting a little bit more out of the deal. And so I think because maybe we had a little bit more muscle than the others, we managed to negotiate. And then once again, costs of integration and stuff, we insisted on an exclusivity. So we've got a 12 months exclusivity. So it has been difficult. The reaction from the other banks, they're not happy. But we felt it was a commercial transaction and we would get the most we could out of the deal.